Right now, the global manufacturing supply chain is locked in a deep off-season slump. Downstream demand is virtually frozen. But the late July 2026 intelligence report from Polymer Bazaar just threw a wrench into this quiet market. Their primary alert for the week is urgent. Processors need to buy PBT at current open bazaar prices, immediately. That aggressive stance directly contradicts the reality on the factory floor, where practically no buyers are active. This leaves procurement managers with a difficult choice. Do you hold tight, trust the sluggish demand, and protect your cash? Or do you trust the warning and stock up? Following a blanket purchase recommendation without looking at your own internal cash flow turns a smart hedge into a severe liquidity trap. To understand why Polymer Bazaar is pushing a buy recommendation, we have to look at upstream feedstock costs, the raw materials required to produce PBT. This dual-axis chart tracks demand against raw materials. While demand is flat, upstream costs are surging. PTA sits at 5,765 RMB, and BDO climbed to 8,850 RMB. These costs aren't reacting to consumer activity. They're driven entirely by global geopolitical uncertainties. Commodities operate on a lag. When upstream raw materials spike today, open bazaar PBT prices are forced higher weeks later, regardless of whether processors are ready to pay. Polymer Bazaar's strategy is simply about getting ahead of this specific lag effect before the price wave hits the final product. The immediate danger lies in the invisible geopolitical pressures that will dictate your Q3 and Q4 production costs. We can see this feedstock squeeze happening in real time by looking at the U.S. bazaar. Downstream demand in the United States currently mirrors the rest of the world. It is completely dull and stagnant. This comparison matrix shows regional metrics. Look at the U.S. column. Despite dead consumer demand, those rising upstream costs are already forcing prices upward. The 30% glass-filled grade gained 2.5 cents, hitting 262 cents per pound, and the neat grade saw the exact same 2.5-cent hike, landing at 112 cents per pound. The U.S. market proves a critical lesson. Low consumer demand will not protect you from paying premium prices if the underlying raw materials surge. Now let's look at Europe and China, two markets that haven't yet felt those U.S. price hikes. In Europe, there are absolutely no signs of demand recovery. Prices are perfectly stable, stuck at 1,739 euros per metric ton. This creates a psychological trap. It lulls buyers into believing prices will stay low indefinitely. Meanwhile, Chinese converters are actively staying on the sidelines, showing intense hesitation due to the off-season. By showing zero buying interest while global feedstocks climb, Chinese buyers are taking on a massive systemic risk. Flat pricing in Europe and China is simply masking the underlying global pressures. Those buyers are highly vulnerable to sudden supply chain shocks. India is attempting a delicate balancing act amid this global geopolitical uncertainty. Spot quotations in the Indian bazaar are currently sitting at 144 to 145 rupees per kilo in Mumbai and 147 to 148 rupees in Delhi. Instead of panic buying or totally withdrawing, India has adopted a need-based strategy. Processors are only buying exactly what is required for immediate production runs. This approach preserves immediate cash reserves while keeping the factory floor running. While this strategy protects immediate cash flow, it offers zero price protection against the geopolitical spikes Polymer Bazaar expects. So how do you apply this global data to your own factory? It comes down to your specific financial runway. This decision tree breaks down the two primary factors every processor must evaluate: your days of inventory on hand and your current cash flow status. Let's start with just-in-time processors operating with less than 30 days of inventory and tight cash reserves. If you fall into this group, tying up your last remaining cash in PBT inventory while end consumer demand remains dull is incredibly risky. We recommend this segment ignore the blanket advice to buy immediately and instead adopt the Indian market's need-based purchasing strategy. For cash-strapped businesses, survival takes priority over hedging future spikes. Now, for well-capitalized converters holding 30 to 90 days of inventory, because you have capital for risk hedging, you are uniquely positioned to leverage Polymer Bazaar's warning and lock in prices today. The trade-off is confidence. You must bet Q4 consumer demand returns strong enough to absorb this pre-purchased inventory. If you can absorb that risk, we recommend executing the Polymer Bazaar strategy. Buy at current open bazaar prices to front-run the geopolitical lag effect. To monitor these rapidly changing feedstock triggers, you can use Polymer Bazaar's AI-powered system. Just WhatsApp the word PBT to +91 9374 624 365 and get instant updates in 5 seconds. And to verify the regional data for yourself, download the full PDF report at polymerbazaar.com. A blanket market warning is only half the equation. True procurement success lies in matching macro geopoliticals to your own micro cash flow realities.